KFI AM 640. It's later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And let me just say off the top, I've gotten your message. I've received your messages, and I'm actually overwhelmed and appreciative that you thought that you were the first person to send me the story about Garth Brooks and how he's been accused of forcible rape and other things, various forms of sexual assault. I get it. You realize that we were first as far as the music industry Me Too moment, but I'm not going to talk about it tonight. I'll tell you why. I have a few friends, one who worked directly with Garth Brooks during the alleged time in question, and some others who toured with him. I'm 1 degree of separation away from Garth Brooks, and I want to talk to them, plural, before I speak about the allegations. I think I can get some real insight as far as the time leading up, time during, and the time since before I weigh in. I will say this, and I give a lot of credit to Tuala because he verbalized it before anyone, that the music industry's Me Too moment was coming. We collectively predicted this. We told you this. And I don't know, some of you were slow on the uptick. Some of you were on the late freight. You didn't believe us. Or maybe you thought that we were overselling what we knew what was going on behind the scenes. Garth Brooks, I will say this tonight. Garth Brooks was arguably, with the exception of Michael Jackson, the biggest artist of the 20th century. Hands down. Sold more than, I think, 170 million records. Just like MJ and there's Garth Brooks right there. I don't really have any personal anecdotes. I met him once when I was an intern at Capitol Records when I think he really took off. I think his No Fences album hit at the time. It was just in passing. So I don't have any grand story to share, but I do know folks who do know him. So tomorrow night, hopefully I can get all the information that I'm looking for on Garth Brooks, the person, at least from their point of view, someone who's worked with him for many years, toured with him, wrote songs with him. So some real insight. And hopefully I can bring that to you by tomorrow. So that's why I've gotten your notes. Yes, I've seen the story. My goodness, yes, I've seen the story. I'm aware of the story. I even told Tuala, oh, yes, we're going in on the story. We're just not going to do it tonight because here on Later with Mo Kelly, we don't need to be first. We just want to be insightful and accurate. That's more important than anything. So hopefully we can get you something that you're not going to hear everywhere else. Random, just speculation without any real insight. We try not to do that here as best we can. So we'll touch upon Garth Brooks in earnest tomorrow. One thing I am going to talk about tonight. First, there was Kroger. Now there's Albertsons / Safeway / Vons. And I can see Mark Ronner's smile right now because we told you about this. We really did tell you. It's one thing to talk about, oh my gosh, inflation. Oh my goodness, the cost of eggs and milk. It's unconscionable. We've never seen this before in America. We were trying to tell you there were some underhanded dealings which were going on. There was price gouging, and there's this. Albertsons, which is / Safeway / Vons, will pay nearly $4 million to settle a lawsuit. This is just the first lawsuit accusing it of overcharging customers across all of California. So if you're complaining about prices maybe here in California, maybe you were overcharged by either Albertsons or Safeway or Vons. And the complaint was filed in Marin County and joined by Alameda, Los Angeles, Riverside, San Diego, Sonoma, and Ventura counties. Basically, the whole damn state. Accused Albertsons of false advertising and unfair competition for allegedly charging items for more than their lowest advertised price. Let me look at this a different way. The lowest advertised price was probably the price, which reflected inflation. So it was charging more for their lowest advertised inflated price. Here's some perspective. Albertsons is the second largest grocery chain in North America. Behind who? We want to take a guess? You want to know who number one is? Kroger. So you have Kroger number one. You have Albertsons number two, both dealing from the bottom of the deck, doing underhanded things to take more money from you than they actually deserved. Underhanded. But I know it's inflation. The cost of eggs, the cost of milk, the cost of cigarettes. It's just too damn high. Biden needs to do something about this. No, this is capitalism. This is the seedy side of capitalism. Not exactly supply and demand, but it's more like demanding that you pay more than supply actually is asking for. According to the complaint, some items were sold by weight, talking about produce, meats, baked goods, had less product in the package than was displayed on the package label. We're not even talking about shrinkflation. We're not talking about the legitimate downsizing of the packaging. We're saying it says one thing on the package. Let's say you're getting 5 ounces of steak, and actually in the package is 3.9 ounces. Also, and there's more. Safeway and Vaughn stores failed to abide by a 2014 injunction mandating they implement a price accuracy policy. The policy requires that customers overcharge for an item either receive it for free or get a $5 gift card, depending on the price of the item. So this is not the first time that they have tried to circumnavigate their own rules. Boise, Idaho-based Albertsons will pay $3.2 million in civil penalties and $749,500 in costs and restitution to cover investigation costs and support future enforcement of consumer protection laws. The 7 counties will split the settlement, and it's nominal. I know we're only talking about $4 million, and it's not going to do much, but I think it highlights the point. And let me just say, good evening, Mark Ronner. Hope you've been well. I know you're smiling.
No, it's boring when we agree, but you are 100% right about this.
It's not just one grocery chain doing one type of underhanded thing. It's more than one, and it's the top 2.
Well, for some reason, people seem to want to make this a political issue about Biden and about inflation. And I keep on having to show people one report after another of corporate price gouging. It's like, I don't know what you have personally at stake here, but these are the facts. And here's another one to add to the pile.
After a while, they'll get it. After a while, well, maybe they won't, because there will probably be, let's say, the 3rd largest grocery retailer in California found to be doing something underhanded as well. This isn't new. I'm just saying this has probably been going on for quite some time, like maybe years.
Oh, yeah. I stopped going to Albertsons because I used to, that's the closest store to where I live, and I used to go there all the time. But I found their app so frustrating because you have to jump through so many hoops to get the price you think you're going to get for something. And I realized I don't think I've ever once made it through the line here without having to go back for a mistake or an omission or something. I can't do that anymore.
Well, not only that, I think they're betting on the fact that not everyone's going to either realize the quote-unquote mistake, the discrepancy, or going to waste the time, energy, and trouble to go back and force you, the retailer, to give them the correct price. It's kind of figured into it like, yeah, we'll get caught some of the time, but overall, our bottom line is better off doing it this way. And this is the illusion. You think, well, I'm not going to shop at Kroger anymore because I heard that they are price gouging. So let's say you go over to Albertsons and Vons, and then you find that they're doing this. It's different, but it's the same. You think you're getting a better deal over here, and you're really not. You're just getting, I can't say that word on the radio.
Yeah, you can. Go ahead. Go for
it. You're getting ARD. Just a different way, in a different body part. That's all it is.
Well, if I could just say one thing, it's an old practice, and it reminded me of a long-gone father figure friend of mine who told me his dad ran a little grocery store, and he had a scam where he'd have a little hand broom by the scale. And when somebody was buying groceries, he'd put that on there so he could overcharge people. And if they ever noticed it, he'd be like, oh, whoops, how'd that get there? So this is the modern version of that.
Hey, Mark, I got more good news.
Let's have it.
After we come back from the break, I'll tell you and everyone else about California drivers who may be entitled to cash from gas companies for price fixing.
No.
They wouldn't. They would never. People complaining about, the gas is too damn high.
But they seem like such nice people. Why would they do that?
Chevron has such nice, colorful gas stations. They would never do that. They have great commercials.
Yeah, you used to have those guys with the hats to come and put stuff in your car. What has happened?
What happened to full service? Well, it's just different now.
Oh, well.
Something else. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
You can't confirm it, but in your gut, deep down, you know you're getting taken on some level. Maybe it's in the back of your mind. Maybe it's in the pit of your stomach, but there's not anything you can do about it, and you can't prove it. Yeah, that's what I think about most things. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Drivers who purchased gas in Southern California, about 9 years ago, that's the bad news. And we've all purchased gas in California about 9 years ago. There really weren't these things called electric cars, EVs, back then. Not 9 years ago. Not in great quantity. Well, if you purchase gas, you may be entitled to a portion of a cash settlement. And this is according to California AG Rob Bonta. He announced this yesterday. He also went on to say that drivers who purchase gas specifically between February 20th, 2015 and November 10th, 2015. So if you bought any gas in that 10-month period, which is probably all of us, we can submit a claim for payment under the state settlement with gas trading firms for, quote, tampering with and manipulating prices for California gasoline. Mark Ronner, here we go again.
I'm ready. Blow my hair back with this.
I mean, did you know? Look, I would drive down the street, and this is any year. We can go back to 2015, but I'm just saying any year. And we know that gas prices are largely speculative. In other words, it's not pricing for quantity. It's about what may happen in the future. So that's why prices would vary wildly. They'll go up 10 cents in a week, or they'll go up 20 cents in a week when it had nothing to do with actual supply. And I was noticing that this gas station on one side of the street would be 40 cents fewer than the gas station on the other side of the street. It's like, wait a minute, they're paying comparable rent. How can gas vary that widely? They're paying the same amount of gas tax. And deep down inside, I said, something's not right. Quote, market manipulation and price gouging, where have we heard those terms before, are illegal and unacceptable, particularly during times of crisis when people are most vulnerable. This is according to Rob Bonta. I am proud to deliver money back to Californians who were victims of gas price manipulation. And Mark, remember how they keep blaming gas prices on the president?
Yeah, presidents don't control that.
Yeah.
Presidents absolutely do not set gas prices.
If they would make sure that they were 55 cents a gallon right before every election. I promise you they would. There's no reason for any president to have bad economic news if they could actually control the economy. Yes, there are policies which can influence certain sectors of the economy. But as far as price setting, price fixing, price manipulation, they really can't. I don't have time to go all macro econ 101. If I had more time, maybe. But they really can't. And that's the one of the big lies out there as far as the range and reach of presidents. Now, if you want to rack your brain and go through your bank statements to see how much money you might have spent on gas, or whether you spent that much money on gas between November and February of 2015 and November of 2015, knock yourself out. But the gas was sold during this time, And wait for it. Here we go. If this sounds a lot like the last segment, yes, it's not your imagination. This applies to Los Angeles County, San Diego County, Orange County, Riverside County, San Bernardino, where are you? Kern County, Ventura County, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and Imperial counties. Why don't we just say the whole damn state? Everyone who bought gas anywhere and everywhere back in 2015, you got robbed. You got taken. There was price gouging. There was price manipulation. I can't actively remember what was going on in the world in 2015. It wasn't an election year. I don't remember if there was some sort of gas bill somewhere. I honestly don't remember. Why? Because I'm old. I can't remember what I had for lunch last week, much less when or how much gas I bought back during the end of the Obama administration. I mean, who the hell knows? But didn't you know somewhere deep down inside, didn't you know in the back of your mind, didn't you know in the pit of your stomach, didn't you know? It's almost like you're in the Matrix. It was just bothering you. You just couldn't quite figure it out. Something was off. It was a glitch. And you knew that the gas prices were being manipulated. Now, you wrongly ascribed it to politicians. You said Gavin Newsom. You said at that time it was it's probably Jerry Brown, and or you wanted to say it was Barack Obama, when it was much more simple to figure out. It was capitalism doing capitalist things and greed doing what greed does. And we'll see more stories just like this. Look, you can go to ktla.com and they'll have the link where you can submit a claim online. You got to submit your claim by January 8th of 2025. You won't be thinking about that then, because we'll still be fighting over who is actually going to be the president of the United States, because we all know this country's going to go to hell right after the presidential election, fighting over who's going to be the next president. But you'll probably forget. But if you can remember, just go to ktla.com. You can find the link there. But Mark, it's going to be one of those nights. It's going to be you and me, and we're going to have to say, we were right. We're going to have to break our arms on our back.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it. You know, it's almost like I've noticed some people have turned a weird corner where in thinking that they're defending capitalism, which I would defend too, they wind up defending us getting ripped off, thinking that's capitalism. And I fight that a lot of the time off the air with friends of mine that I argue with.
One, Mark, you don't have any friends.
Okay, well, you busted me on that. my imaginary friends. I look in the mirror and have arguments with myself and a fake mustache. And
personalities will do that.
And I scold myself for being an idiot.
No, you're not an idiot, because when we come back, Mark, we're going to do some more of this. Did you know it's now a record for the number of people here in California, just in California, who are paying more than $3,000 a month for rent?
I'm still moving in with you.
$3,000 a month for rent, but never mind. We'll save it for after the break.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Did you know that California has more than 1 million households which pay at least, this is the lower limit, at least $3,000 per month for rent? And that number has more than doubled in 4 years. Of the people who pay $3,000 per month for rent, that number of people in California has doubled in the past 4 years. Oh, and by the way, remember, I was the one who said that California turned down not one, but 2 chances to implement some form of rent control. Mm-hmm. I remember I was that guy. Oh, and looky here. There is a rent control measure on the ballot next month. I'm not here to tell you how to vote. I'm just letting you know the facts. There were 2 previous measures which were voted down. Give me all the reasons and excuses you like. I'm just telling you, factually, they were voted down. There is another one, which will be on the ballot this November. And the opposing side is spending millions and millions of dollars trying to tell you and me that it will make the housing situation worse. I don't know, but my definition of worse looks very different from their definition of worse. But vote your conscience. I just remember not a day goes by in which someone doesn't complain about the rent being too damn high, or how it's escalatory in nature, where it goes up and it's up and it's up and it's up. We told you about this, and I was just quantifying. The number of people paying $3,000 per month has doubled in the last 4 years. Tell me more about why rent control is just an evil thing. It's such a bad thing. And I get it. Our economy has changed in the sense that the idea of home ownership may be viewed as out of reach for some and not as necessary for others. I still think it's the best way to accumulate wealth and also pass it on from generation to generation and finance college educations or helping through a medical crisis if need be. But this is a problem. I would say that California in many respects is a victim of its own success. This is the place where certain industries are, and land is finite. You have the mountains, you have the beaches, you have the weather. So it's always going to cost more just to live in California. And I'm not making fun or making light of Hurricane Helene. I will point out the fact that California is a place which doesn't have to deal with certain natural disasters. And that also is part of the equation. Here's something else. The $3,000 rent club is not exclusive to California. It's happening all around the nation. It's just that it's happening much more quickly and much more severely here in California. Last year, 18.2% of California's renters paid $3,000 or more. That's up from 8.3% in 2019. Not a math major, never was, never really good in math, but that's more than double. That's more than double. For 2023, California was second behind Hawaii at 21.2%. I can understand Hawaii's probably pretty expensive to buy land. 21.2% of Hawaii residents spending more than $3,000. So you have Hawaii number one, California number two. Third was Washington, D.C. at 16.8%, Massachusetts at 13.6%, New York at 12.8%. Where is the cheapest rent if you want to get a real good deal on a piece of crap property? Say it with me. Mississippi, North Dakota, Kentucky, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, where less than 1% of renters pay $3,000 plus.
Alabama's not in there?
Nope.
Interesting.
Not to me. I wouldn't live there either.
No, but I just thought that they would have ranked right up there next to Mississippi.
Maybe they're just like 1.2% or something, you know. Statistical variance, not a lot. I'm just saying, as much as we complain about the cost of living in California, as much as we complain about the rent being so unbearable, we never miss an opportunity to take control of that in a small way that we can, with some form of rent control. And, you know, we say, no, it's bad. It's not good for renters. It's not good for landlords. Well, I'll tell you what's not good for landlords. Them not making as much money as they can. Well, let me put it this way. This, for me, is another form of price gouging. Rents go up because they're allowed to go up almost without any ceiling. We talked about how they can raise rents from 8 to 9%, depending on which county you live in, every single year. Every single year. And again, if you want to do the math of how that exponentially will impact renters, you know, go ahead and do that math. But if you think that it's going to get better in the future by doing nothing, you keep on thinking that, because we saw what happened in the past 4 years and how the number of people paying $3,000 a month, which is ridiculous, ridiculous how that number has doubled in 4 years. You can do something about it, or you can do nothing about it. I'm just here giving you some math, some analysis, some perspective. You're the ones who have to live with it and also pay for it. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Another conversation we've had and we bounced back and forth on. And Tual, I want to bring you into the conversation in this next segment because we talked about these robot dogs, what they are capable of, what type of capabilities they would have, and the situations in which they would be used. Well, we get to meet Spot, LAPD's new crime-fighting robot dog. We'll talk about that when we come back.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
I want to say maybe a year ago or so, there was a situation which was developing where there was a suspect who was thought to be barricaded or dead in a structure, an apartment building. And LAPD, I believe, sent in a robot dog with a camera to find out the status of that suspect, alleged assailant. And it provided the opportunity for law enforcement to look and see the status of a suspect without risking any actual members of law enforcement, and also had more capabilities than a person would from a technology standpoint. These robot crime-fighting dogs obviously have positives, but there are those in some communities who feel that it would be misused or only used in certain communities. And that's the ongoing discussion. I'm somewhere in between. I've been following the science, and Boston Dynamics, who usually will post these videos of these miraculous actions by robots. They're the leader in robotics. They'll show robots navigating a parkour course. They'll show robots doing all these basically human-like movements, from jumping, running, flipping, crawling, climbing, and you get to see the advancements in the technology. And Mark, I don't know if you can hear me right now.
I can.
But did you watch the television show War of the Worlds? It was really bad. It was really, really bad.
No, not the show. Are you talking about the recent one that was set in Victorian times?
No, I'm talking about the one that was on the Epix channel. It was really bad, and it ran, I think, for 2 seasons. And they had the robot dogs in there.
Oh, no.
As part of the series.
I missed that.
It was really bad.
Okay.
You didn't miss it. You didn't miss anything. But my point is, these robot dogs have been used on the screen already, so people would have a reference point if you saw the TV show.
Oh, don't forget the Black Mirror episode. That's terrifying.
Right. I did forget that, as a matter of fact. So there is a cultural reference point for these robot dogs. They have been used. They've been seen in a variety of situations and circumstances. Now, LAPD has its own crime-fighting robot dog named Spot. Boston Dynamics, who I told you about, says that it is prohibiting any use of these dogs with police agencies, law enforcement agencies, to have any type of weaponry. So, Tuwala Sharp, this is where I want to bring you into the conversation, because you were a very vocal, opponent of these dogs originally.
Absolutely. And I love that Boston Dynamics says that police departments cannot, under any circumstances, arm these dogs. They forgot to say ... for now, because it's just a matter of time. There was already, when we first started talking about this, it was after the dog was used to search out the suspect. I can't remember what the date was, but it was when the suspect was up in hiding. We talked about how that can save lives and this, that, and the other. Fast forward, when LAPD first started petitioning to actually deploy these, we were questioning under whose guidance, into which communities, so forth and so on. But after that, they started implementing what into these dogs? AI technology, to start making them more intuitive and easier to program. These are all the reasons that I have problems with these things. These things, as you said in all these videos, are capable of all type of feats. Now you want to program them with a a program that teaches itself and learns, and there's only a matter of time before some way, somehow, whether it be the police unions or whichever law enforcement agency says it is absolutely crucial that we arm these things, then we are SOL.
I don't know if we'll follow the path that you're talking about, but history suggests that it will. History suggests that when you use these types of tools, there is an invariable escalation. And if you're programming them, then it's going to be reinforced by data which is going to be unfavorable to certain communities. If it's programmed to believe that crime is happening more over here or there, then it's going to be implemented more over here or there than other communities. And I'm concerned about the oversight or lack thereof. I want to know who LAPD, in this particular instance, because we're talking about SPOT, which is going to be with LAPD, who would be the oversight or the agency, or I'll say the backstop for when it is used, how it is used, and what type of tools it'll have. And just because Boston Dynamics says, hey, you can't equip them with weapons, it doesn't mean it can't be modified to use some sort of deadly force. We remember when, I think it was Dallas, correct me if I'm wrong, where they sent in the robot with a bomb to blow up the suspect. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was how the robot was tooled, but it was modified for that. You know, there are capabilities that can be added to it that has nothing to do with Boston Dynamics, what it may have programmed into it. Now, not to be funny, but I do want to highlight this is an intersection of my concerns with the autonomous vehicles and Mark Ronner's concerns with AI more generally. When you leave it up to AI, I'm not at the point where I can trust it to make any life and death decisions.
No way.
I'm not there yet.
I don't want to go on a limb here, but I am 100% against the dystopian future of exploding robots. Okay?
Look, these things are scary enough without bombs. Yes, they are crawling around on all forms like a, air quotes here, dog, but these things can stand. These things are extremely strong, and it is just a matter of time before they say, hey, Musk, we want to actually implement some of your humanoid Tesla bots. They just have a contract with Boston Dynamics. That doesn't say they cannot get a contract with Musk to get implement his Tesla bots, who would absolutely arm these things. That's what I'm saying. This is a slippery slope. Once you allow this, then that can happen. The next thing, the next escalation can easily happen. That is a problem. This is a slippery slope where you are implementing robots to enforce crime. And Mo, you asked this question the last time we talked about it. Who is going to be in charge? What is the oversight? I'd like to see something. We haven't seen anything since, and that was like at least 5 months ago.
I think we as citizens, as lay citizenry, I think we have a responsibility to pose certain scenarios and ask certain questions and be skeptical in advance of something happening. You can't wait until something happens and say, oh, we should have thought of that. No, we have to try to think of it in advance. How this could adversely affect people, how this could harm someone. Can it differentiate? I mean, how much autonomy does the robot have when you're talking about AI? You know, under what circumstances? Yeah, I would want a full demonstration, but I need to see more. I would have to know more before I would be comfortable with it. And I would like to think of myself as being consistent. I have always been slow on the uptick when it comes to new types of science. I am Dr. Ian Malcolm in that regard, where I think we can run too fast, try to do too much too soon with too little oversight and too little forethought. I am always that person, if only because it may seem like a good idea now, and it may have all sorts of benefits, but I'm always thinking about unintended consequences. And this for me says that there may be unintended consequences. Am I absolutely on the side of protecting law enforcement? Yes, 100%. I don't think anyone can argue the upside here. But just like the justice system is supposed to be constructed, where one person wrongly going to prison is an indictment of the whole system, one person being unnecessarily harmed or killed hypothetically, by one of these robot dogs would be an indictment of that system.
Oh, it's going to happen.
That's about where I come out.
You know it's going to happen. And pardon me for sounding immodest here, but I haven't thought of a different name for Mark's Law of New Technology, which is whenever there's any new technology, imagine the very worst, most horrifying thing that could be done with it. It is 100% guaranteed that that's going to happen. And so you call it, Mo, unintended consequences. They are intended by some people, and that's where regulation has to come in.
I thought all new technology goes back to porn.
Well, that's true. That's not my rule. There's got to be a different name for that.
No telling what's going to happen with these robot dogs in that case.
See, now, Tawala, I figured you would want to take a ride with a robot dog in an autonomous car.
Right.
No, you know what? No, I absolutely do not. This is where my love for all things technology and AI integration with cars and flying helicars and all that, this is where I draw the line. And it is largely based in my fear of a Terminator-like future, but also because I know that mankind is one of the most destructive forces on this planet. And we get something that on the surface is meant to enforce the law. It's only a matter of time before it's run amok and destroy society with something that I believe is this dangerous. I think it is wrong for LAPD to be implementing SPOT under the guise of protecting officers. I think that's a lie. They just want to use this robot and see what it can do. They want to see it go and knock down doors and maybe drag someone out of a house. That's me putting my own fear spin on it, but I believe that that's what's going to happen.
Well, one of us is going to be right, and hopefully all of us are wrong. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Chock full of stimulating talk. KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live.